Hey y'all, welcome back. Welcome back. It is me, Britt Reacts, or welcome for the first time. If this is your first time, doesn't matter. I'm just glad you're here. I am back with more of this professor from Penn State, and this time he's fed up. He's had enough of the minority victimhood mindset. So let's see what he has to say. I'm back. I didn't go anywhere. My computer's being silly today.
Your child's more likely to go to Penn State. That's fair. It seems fair to me.
It's not fair. What's not fair?
I just think about let's say historical context, slavery, for example. It's the slave owners, they built all their money, and now we still see people reaping the benefits of that.
Yeah, they never had the chance, man, and they're trying and pulling themselves up and working so hard, but what's fair?
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Hope all's good wherever you are. In this video, we have a small clip of another one of Sam Richards' lecture. Now, the full 2-hour lecture, live stream, whatever you want to call it, linked in the description down below. In this video, they will be discussing what is equity in education. They discuss affirmative action, equality of outcome versus equality of opportunity, which us on the right, obviously, we know equality of opportunity crushes equality of outcome. Strive for equality. But anyway, let's get it.
Structurally, that may look like progress to us, but because
Okay, wait, I wanted to fully read this.
structure.
New York City enrollment in the top high schools in 2018 determined by test scores. Stuyvesant is in Brooklyn. It's a neighborhood. Asian is 73%. Bronx Science is 64%. Brooklyn Tech is 61%. Black and Hispanic is 3.5% in Stuyvesant. Bronx Science 8% and 14% in Brooklyn Tech. 15% of New York City population is Asian. Do with that information what you will.
Actually, that may look like progress to us, but because a school or university said that's not enough progress, kind of dismisses or diminishes the work we put in, even if it's not as much as his.
Yeah, but how do you know? But we got to measure this on something. Penn State wants to, every student they admit to this university, they want you to graduate in 4 years. And if you can't do it in 4 years, they want you to graduate in 4.5, and if not 5. They don't want you here for a long period of time. That's not good for Penn State. You might think, yeah, they just keep taking my money. No. It lowers Penn State's credibility and standing. They want you in, they want you out, and they don't want you dropping out. So you can afford to bring in a few people who yeah, we're taking a risk with this kid, but not going to do very many, because that's how it works. And so it's hey, Jade, yeah, we get that you worked really hard, but you didn't do it, and there's another school for you. Go to the school down the road, but not this one. You're going to go to school. It's not like you're not going to get into college. You're just not going to get into the college that maybe you think you want to get into. So now respond to that. But I worked hard. Do you know how many students after the first exam are going to email us, or at the end of the semester? How many? Oh, look at all these faces here. How many emails we're going to get, and people are going to say, I got a B+, but I worked really hard. And I'm like, what am I going to say to them? Tell Julie right in because she's going to get the email. Tell her what she should say.
It is what it is. Yeah, but I think when you get to college, it flattens the line almost. Once you get over that hill.
Oh, we got something for that in a couple minutes. But okay, you think it flattens the line?
Just a little bit.
Okay. Do you guys have a response to what I was saying over here about the structural thing? And I have to respond to a couple people in the chat.
So are you saying that say for applying to college, if it's at two different structural parts, but they have the same grades, and the one who has the higher structure gets in, and the other one, the lower one doesn't?
Here's the issue. You got people who are coming.
I feel like I'm as confused as these college kids, so I'm listening to try to fully understand before I say anything. I love that they're like all three looking like in perfect angle at where the professor is.
From
I would have
really
loved to have
poor
been in this
areas who never really had a chance, man. They don't have parents that went to college, maybe don't
Look
even
how packed this auditorium is. This type of stuff to me speaks to the teacher. Like, I'm sure this is an elective. It's not a required class. I don't know, maybe it is, but I just like look at how many kids flock to this classroom.
who never really had a chance, man. They don't have parents that went to college, maybe don't even have parents that went to a good high school. They got, including Asian parents, not just, we're not talking white parents, doesn't matter. And like, yeah, they never had the chance, man, and they're trying and pulling themselves up and working so hard, but what's fair?
So are they applying themselves to their schoolwork or not?
Totally. Let's say they did, but did they? Not like Arjun.
Yes, but isn't that what the loans are for? The student loans for to pay for the college.
Yeah.
That's what it's for.
Okay.
If you don't have enough money, if you come from a background where you don't have enough money, where you come from a poor background, that's what student loans are for. So you can pay for the colleges.
So if you can't do as well, you don't go to one of these top schools. Go to another school and work really hard, and then go to some other college.
Well, didn't you say that they have both that they both worked hard, they get to the same score, and they apply? Most of the time, it doesn't end up like that.
Yeah, no, I think that you can just ask the questions like, what do you do with the kids? Go back to the reservation. And like the kids on the reservation are working so hard as they can, and they're spinning, and the schools are really bad, and there are no role models, and they don't have money, and they're not doing any college visits, and like at best they're going to go to a local community college and hope. We passed many of them out in New Mexico.
Okay. I'm going to try, because I feel like we came in maybe mid-conversation. Sorry, got hot in here. I have a shirt on. I'm a married woman with children. I believe in Jesus. All right. I'm just trying to find the right words. This chapter of the video is called Equity, Affirmative Action, and Historical Inequality. Lord have mercy. Obviously, there is a lot of historical inequality. Obviously. If you deny that, you are simply just in denial. But I do think there is a time to we just have to acknowledge the fact that in the society that we live in, there is almost always going to be an adversary, something that is adverse to you or your upbringing or your goals. But I think more than my ancestral history, who I am, my character, my work ethic will supersede whatever obstacle I have to overcome. This is my opinion. And so I'm saying all of that to say that I'm really trying to be thoughtful and intentional about what I'm saying, because I know this is such a hot take in our society right now. We have to acknowledge how much access in America there is, how much money there is to get your hands on, and how many people have succeeded from every kind of background, be it a privileged background, be it a poor background, be it a rural background, be it an urban background, be it anything. There is a group of people from any background, any story you can think of, that have succeeded and overcome any adversarial plot. Be it money, be it race, be it domestic violence, like anything. And so what that says to me is that anyone can achieve anything if they want to, even against the odds. And I wish we would focus more on that than the inequalities and all the things that I'm not saying don't exist. But if we simply just stop making everything about what this group did or didn't have and this group didn't have, and we focus on ourselves and achieving our goals, I think we'd be better off. But I don't know. What do you think? I think we'd be much better off if I just said, you know what? Yep, there is slavery in my lineage. Yep, there's alcoholism in my lineage. Yep, there's domestic violence in my lineage. Yep, there's sexual assault in my lineage. Yep, there's all these things in my lineage. And I just said, okay, but what am I going to do about it to make sure that my children don't have that? That my children don't have that mountain to climb? That I don't have to overcome financial instability, right? Like, how about I just focus on that instead of always focusing on what's not fair? There's always something not fair. I try to teach this to my daughter because she's 10, and it's always like, but that's not fair. But why? I want to do it. It's like, it's never going to be fair all of the time. What are you going to do about it? How are you going to make it a little more fair for the people that come behind you? I don't know. This conversation is starting to get real stale and real old to me, because it's like, if you are leaning on that, the historical inequalities will never change because it's in the past. It's history. It's historical. What are you doing to change that narrative? Stop focusing on it. That's just my opinion, though. It's just like, do the work. Do the work. All right. I just got real fired up. I have to take off my workout jacket. I can't even talk. I'm fired up. Told you I had a shirt on, guys. All right, let's keep going. Let me know your thoughts, though.
In Arizona, these little community colleges in the middle of nowhere, nothing like Penn State or anything like that. And
Can I?
Yeah.
I feel like the professor's confused.
This is where you're falling into inequality and not equity. Not to say that's not, the conversation isn't connected.
I love that there's another accountable professor in the room. This classroom is phenomenal.
Not equity. Not to say that's not, the conversation isn't connected, right? It is. The point is, how do we deal with inequality, right? And I think affirmative action, as we know it, and as all of us have grown up in the consciousness of affirmative action, right? Because we didn't exist before affirmative action. Affirmative action is one of the ways we've tried to figure out how to create equity in the midst of inequality, right? And so now, so anyway, I just want you to be able to stay with what the question that you're asking, right? So this is what we're seeing is coming on the other side of years of affirmative action in college admissions. Right?
I love that she's helping him stay on track. You know how often you can get into a conversation and you're 5 stories away from where you started. I love that. I also absolutely understand what she's saying. There's a difference between equity and equality. And I'm trying to think of an example. But I don't know. I just... When you think about, the stories of business owners, let's say a Black woman, and she's like, I got denied at every bank for a business loan, but then a white male can go in a bank and get a business loan without even getting a credit check, let's just say, right? But that Black woman still found a way to do it. Is that equal? No, because her opportunity wasn't equal to the gentleman who was able to get a loan. And the equity there is also unbalanced. But again, going back to what I said, but if this woman is talking to us from a successful business, she figured it out and she did it. And hopefully she's created a lesser gap in that inequality and the equity. Again, I'm not denying that there is an inequality or a lack of equity for certain communities or people or genders or whoever, whatever. And I also like that this lady said that, affirmative action was the government's way of trying to solve the inequality and equity issue. Was it the right thing to do? I also love the point of view of none of us really know because we weren't on the other side of it. We all came after affirmative action was in place. So I don't know. I'm just kind of reiterating and regurgitating to help myself process the conversation. So feel free to leave your thoughts as well.
Wait.
Yep, go ahead. Yep, go ahead. No, keep going. Yep, this is what we're seeing. This is what happens in the world if we just let it go. It's like, yep, it's just test scores, and
that's what you're showing us.
It's one. One is test scores. For if you come from a family of one of these of this culture, evidently Asian cultures that are going like, no man, you go. But what about the other culture? Like, so are we just saying, hey, that's just the luck of the draw, man. You grew up in a family that isn't pushing education in the same way, so whatever. Which is fine if that's the conclusion we come to. But would that be your conclusion?
Guys, if you don't mind just smashing that thumbs up button for me, it really goes a long way into helping me out. And if this is not your first time here and you're not yet subscribed, hopefully this will be a video in which I can earn your subscription. Let's get back to the video.
I wouldn't necessarily say that's my conclusion, but what I'm saying is that it's where they come from. If they have this, if they work hard and they do the same as the other person, like it's not going to be lower percent chance where they're going to. It's lower percent chance where they're not going to get admitted into it, like because they still get the loans and everything else like that if they come from the poor background.
Yeah, but understand that these things, it's a spiraling process. So first it's your education, then it's your internships, then it's your job, and then it's this, and then it's that, and it's where you buy a house, and then how much you have in your retirement account when you're our age. I mean, it's one thing after another. You see, so it's not just this one step. And so the question is, how fair is it to just let it go? And how fair is it? Where does fairness enter in when we go in and we start to micromanage a little bit? Micromanage, move things around.
Well, if we're sticking on the affirmative action thing, it's not just about poor background. It's about historical background, even if you're not poor.
Okay.
So you're saying
Arjun hasn't said anything. Arjun, what do you have to say to this?
even if somebody from a group isn't poor now, if their ancestors were poor or they were disenfranchised in some way, they should get the advantage?
Well, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that's what the affirmative action does as well. Not as just from the current poor background, but from what it does that as well.
So not that they should get advantage, but that's something that people would be thinking about. Yeah, bro.
Yeah, I'm just curious to kind of juxtapose this to the data we looked at last class with the amount of wealth. Because I think of, you can have two kids that are trying just as hard, but one kid tries hard and he grew, his parents are poor, and so the school he goes to sucks, and then so the tutors that he can get suck, and then what he gets needs to be provided, whereas you can be in a wealthy family that, say the tutor the school provides for him isn't good enough. His parents can go get him a nice tutor, and that kind of spirals up, and you get, even if you're trying hard, both kids can try hard, but they don't have the resources to reach their potential.
Okay, so you're now in the structural place going,
exactly.
Fairness, how we decide about fairness and what is fair has to include some conversation about your background and because that matters. You can't just start wherever. It's like you're going to put.
Look at that kid in his Josh Allen jersey. Go Bills. I am very new to Buffalo and no, nothing. I just thought that was interesting.
Put a really poor person on the starting line right here, right next to I take the person in this class who's comes from the poorest, most dysfunctional family, and I'm going to put you on the starting line right next to the person in this class who comes from the wealthiest, most connected family. And I'm going to say, okay, the two of you, you're going to spend 4 years at Penn State, and we're going to see which one does the best at the end of 4 years. And you would say, you might say, just like if we go here, well, the fair thing would be put you at the starting line, right in the same spot. Doesn't matter who you are, what your background is, anything. Put yourself right here and go. You're competing against each other. And what you just said is, no, you're not competing against each other. You're actually competing against each other, your willpower, your stamina, but you're also competing against your histories and all the things that are behind you and holding you up.
Yeah, just your resource in general. I mean, if you're a poor college student, you got to work, you got to do other things other than just study. But, if you've got daddy's money behind you, you live in a nice apartment, you don't have to worry about commuting or anything like that. You're set up and things are easier because you have that background.
Okay. Hey.
All right. I'm with the professor. I'm fed up with the victimhood mentality as someone who did not come from the best upbringing. I have only ever used my pain as platform, my pain as a source of inspiration, as a source of fuel to get me where I need to go. And I think at the end of the day, yes, I am someone who fully believes in circumstances. I'm not saying that, one circumstance isn't a factor versus another. But I am also a firm believer in if there is a will, there is a way. And if you work hard enough, you may not get exactly to where you want to be, but you can get pretty close, and you can sit at tables and you can open doors until you either create a new space for yourself or you get to where you want to be. I don't know, but that's just me. That's just me. All right. I think we've gotten the gist here. I think this professor does a really good job of just making everyone's brains like crank and really try to get to the meat and potatoes of it all. But let me know your thoughts. I will link the clip of this video in my video, and he has the link to the full 2-hour seminar. So have fun with that. All right, guys, thank you for watching, and I want you to go and have the day you deserve. Bye.